paper EL 6503, Unit 3, Pulse Modulation. This is your second lecture, sampling process. Sampling process. What is this sampling process? The sampling is a signal processing operation that helps in sensing the continuous time signal value at a discrete instant of time. The sampling sequence will have amplitude equals to the signal values at the sampling instant and undefined at all the other times. This process can be conveniently performing using the PAM described in the last lecture. PAM, right? So the block diagram of the sampling process is nothing but there is a one electronic switch. This is our electronic switch. This is our input, analog signal. The output is our sampled signal. And mixed with the train of the pulse, which is known as the control signal. It is nothing but it is equal to pulse train. This is the block diagram of the sampling process. Now from the block diagram, the continuous time signal to be sampled is applied to the input terminal here. The pulse train is applied as the control signal of the switch, that means here. Now when the pulse occurs, the switch is on. When the pulse occurs, this electronic switch is on condition. That means that is act as a short circuit between the input and output terminals. The output value will therefore be equal to the input. During the other interval of the pulse train, the switch is in off condition. That is, act as an open circuit. The output is therefore undefined. The output of the switch will be essentially a PAM signal. This is nothing but it is our PAM signal. Any active device like diode, transistor or FET can be used as a switch. So as a switch, we can use diode, transistor or we can use FET as a switch circuit. So this is very simple theorem and very important in the examination point of view. In the context of sampling process, there are other aspects that needs to be considered with respect to the pulse train. The first and the foremost is how often the signal needs to be sampled or sensed, so that when needed an approximate version of the continuous time signal can be reconstructed. This is based on the well-known sampling theorem, which states that sampling theorem which states that the sampling frequency that is number of samples per second should be greater than or equal to twice of the maximum frequency component of the input signal, that means message signal. This is our sampling theorem. The minimum possible value of the sampling frequency is termed as Nyquist rate. rate. See, this is your objective question. What is Nyquist rate? The minimum possible value of the sampling frequency is known as Nyquist rate, is termed as Nyquist rate. Hence, the sampling theorem will decide the periodicity associated with the pulse train. The second important aspect is the width of the pulse. Width of the pulse, that means delta. Width of the pulse means delta. The width of the pulse should be influence the amplitude of the sampled value. Even though this point is not obvious in the time domain, it can be understood by observing the frequency domain behavior of the PAM process due to the convolution of sinc function of pulse train with the input signal spectrum. To minimize this effect for all practical processing, that means delta tends to 0, so that the pulse train becomes on impulse train. The Fourier transform of an input train is also an impulse train in the frequency domain. Therefore, convolution will not affect the shape of the sampled signal. It only leads the periodicity of the spectrum. Now we are discussing about the examples. First example, example 1, a message signal made of multiple frequency components has a maximum frequency value of 4 kilohertz. That means FM is equal to 4 kilohertz, maximum frequency 4 kilohertz, and this frequency, it is message signal frequency. Then find out the minimum sampling frequency. Find out the minimum sampling frequency, Fs. Find out question mark. Find out the minimum sampling frequency required according to the sampling theorem. Now we know that according to the sampling theorem, Fs must be greater than or equal to 2 times Fm. And here Fm is equal to 4 kilohertz. So Fs is equal to greater than or equal to 2 times into Fm. It is equal to 2 times into 4 kilohertz, and it is equal to 8 kilohertz. This is the answer of our numericals, the frequency required according to the sampling theorem. Second example, a message signal has the following frequency component: a single tone sine wave of 500 Hz, single tone sine wave of 500 Hz, and sound of the frequency component which lowest value is equal to 750 Hz and highest value it is equal to 1800 Hz. Then what should be the minimum sampling frequency? Fs. We want to find out what is the question mark value of the sampling frequency to sense the information present in this signal according to the sampling theorem. So here maximum value Fm is equal to 1800 Hz. Sampling theorem, Fs is greater than or equal to 2 times Fm. It is equal to 2 times 1800, and it is equal to 3600 Hz. This is our answer. In this way, we can calculate the number of numericals. Now we are discussing about the pulse width modulation. We are discussing about the pulse width modulation. It is also known as PWM. it is also known as PWM. Now in pulse width modulation, it is defined as the the process of varying the width of the pulse in proportional to instantaneous variation of message. Instantaneous variation of message. This is nothing but it is our pulse width modulation. Let us consider that delta be the width of the pulse. Delta is the width of the pulse. Then unmodulated pulse train. Then in pulse width modulation, this delta is directly proportional to Vm message signal. Mathematically, the width of the pulse in pulse width modulation signal is given by delta m. It is equal to delta into 1 plus Vm. This is our mathematically given. So we can say that when there is no message, no message, that means Vm is equal to 0, then the width of the pulse will be equal to the original width delta. That means width of the pulse, it is equal to delta into 1 plus 0, that is equal to delta, right? For positive value of message, the width will be proportionally increases by 1 plus Vm, and for positive, and for negative value of the message, the width decreases by 1 minus Vm for the negative value, or positive value, negative value. Now we can see on the figures, right? So this is the figure for the generation of pulse width modulation. Generation of pulse width modulation. Right? This is nothing but this is our message signal. This is our pulse train, and after modulation we are getting like this. This figure shows the generation of pulse width modulation signal. The amplitude of the pulse remains constant in this case. The amplitude remains constant. That means this height remains constant. This height remains constant. Height shows us the amplitude of the signal. The amplitude of the pulse remains constant in this case. Hence, pulse width modulation, that means in PWM, is more robust to noise compared to the pulse amplitude modulation, that means PM. This is the difference with respect to PM signal. The mathematical treatment about the frequency domain aspect of PWM is involved process. However, the resulting PWM will still have the spectrum in the baseband region itself. Baseband region. The figure shows only using trailing edge of the pulse. We can also perform the same using either leading edge or both, even though the pulse width modulation, that means PWM signal, also contains the message information in the pulse train. It is seldom used as a sampling process to discretize the continuous time signal as in the PM case due to its indirect way of storing message information and also the randomness involved in the width modifications. Hence, PWM has limited use in signal processing and communication field. Alternatively, PWM finds use in the power applications like direct current, motor speed control as described here. DC motor control as described here. First of all, we see this This is nothing but it is our position width, that means delta. What is change? This change due to the message signal. The width is changed. How much? Delta into 1 plus Vm. This much amount of the width is changed. Hence it is known as pulse width modulation. This is our message signal. This is our pulse train, and this is the modulation wave, pulse width modulated wave. And the change here, there is no change in the width, but there is height, that means amplitude. There is change only in the width of the pulse, and this width it is according to the message signal. Now we are discussing about the speed control of DC motor using PWM. That means application. Application is speed control of DC motor using pulse width modulation. This is our application. The speed of the DC motor depends on the average DC voltage applied across its terminal. Suppose if V volt is the voltage for running the DC motor at its full speed, right? So what is the block? Block is like this. This is our DC voltage source. Then the output, it is given to the gating circuit, and then it is given to the DC motor. One more, there is a control input. There is a control input, and this is nothing but PWM. This is nothing but PWM, right? The speed of the DC motor depends on the average DC voltage applied across its terminal. Suppose if V volt is in the voltage for running the DC motor as its full speed, then 0 volt is the voltage for the rest condition of DC motor. Now the speed of the DC motor can be varied from its rest position to the full speed position by varying the DC voltage. This can be conveniently performed with the help of PWM as given above. આપણે જે આગળ કર્યું તે પ્રમાણે, right? The constant DC voltage source is applied across the terminal of the DC motor through gating circuit, which is controlled by the PWM signal. The gating circuit will essentially convert the constant DC source into the variable DC source. Suppose when there is no modulation, the width of the pulse will be the original value delta, and hence let this run the DC motor at some speed. Now when the width increases, when the width of the pulse increases, this is your 1 plus delta, the voltage value increases from its unmodulated case, and hence the speed. It happens in the opposite way for the decrease in the width. Thus PWM provides a convenient and efficient approach for the speed control of the DC motor. That's all. This complete your second chapter, and the next chapter we will discuss about the pulse position modulation. So in first chapter we discuss about the pulse amplitude modulation. Next lecture we discuss about the pulse width modulation, and the third lecture we discuss about the pulse position modulation. That's all.